It's the Ross Tucker Football Podcast.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's not just any Ross Tucker Football Podcast. It is the first Power Rankings Tuesday of the 2021 NFL season presented by DraftKings. Welcome, all of you that are really just into football season, during football season. Nothing wrong with that. I guarantee I will talk to your team, or talk about your team at least, over the next 30 minutes. It is my power rankings based on where I think your team stands right now before the season even starts, which is totally irrelevant, right? Because this is all based on preconceived notions. So these should change fairly quickly here after a few game sample size, but at least it gives you an indicator of about where I think your team is at heading into the season. I know this. We are 5 days a week now on the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Andrew Brandt tomorrow, Greg Cosell Thursday, Picks Friday on Friday. Even Money Podcast will be on Tuesdays with Steve Fezzik. Our track record betting NFL games is well documented. Yesterday, Emery Hunt killed it on the College Draft Podcast, which is really growing. Encourage you to check that out. Tomorrow, we will record 2 Fantasy Feast podcasts with Joe Dolan. One we drop right away. The other one we drop after midnight so as to not mess with your podcast apps, however it is that you check us out. And, of course, Andrew Brandt doing the Business of Sports podcast each week. So 5 plus 2 is 7, plus 1 is 8, plus 1 is 9, plus 1 is 10. We got 10 shows for you every week, 9 of which you hear my voice, whether you like it or not. Spread the word, winner. Look, any way you engage, it makes a huge difference. I'll be honest with you guys. I'm looking for some quote tweeters. I'm looking for some people that quote tweet how much they love the show. First of all, I get a great chance to be the Spread the Word winner and get a signed press pass. I've got awesome press passes right now. I've also got some pretty cool football cards, some pictures. Can't wait to give it to you. And there's a good chance at Ross Tucker NFL or at Ross Tucker Pod, we will retweet you if you quote tweet us. So encourage you to do that as well. We've got the sponsor confirmation email winner, which I got to tell you, this week I'm giving away a Madden. I'm giving away a Madden on Friday. I've got either 6 or 8. I got to count them again, but either 6 or 8 Madden copies to give out. And I am giving it out to whichever one of you emails me that you took advantage of the code FEAST20 at manscaped.com. I love manscaped.com. They're not even asking me to do this, but I use it to manscape. I have 2 of them. I use my other lawnmower device to trim my beard. Those of you checking me out on youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL, that's how much I love manscaped.com. And if you use the code FEAST20 to buy anything, you got a chance to win this week's Madden. So manscaped.com, FEAST20, forward it to your boy, that's me, Ross at RossTucker.com, and just say, yo, I want the Madden, Ross, and I will mail you the copy of Madden. Patron shout out of the day, Carlos Roqueta, or Roqueta, I'm not sure, Roqueta. We are racking up the patrons. Happens every year as people want to get the Press Box Food rankings, the power rankings, the picks on the Even Money podcast. Just nice to be able to look at them in blue and white, black and white, not have to take notes, blue and white. Can you tell where my high school's colors were? At any rate, it's Big Show time.
It's time for the all-important Power Rankings. The worst team in the history of the NFL is...
All right, Ross, let's start off with the Houston Texans, number 32.
So I think most, we always get new listeners, right? Or new people watching on YouTube, youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. Here is how I do my power rankings. I don't know how other people do theirs. I don't care how other people do theirs. I honestly look at it like this. If these two teams played a series of games in a non-disclosed location or my backyard, a neutral site, Wichita, Kansas. I don't know why I always say Wichita, Kansas, but I do. Wichita, Kansas, or my backyard, or whatever. They played a series of 5 or 7 games, like an NBA playoff series. Who I think would win more of those 7? Who I think would win the series right now? That's what I go by. Neutral site series. I think the Texans are the worst team right now. Look, I'm going to talk to Andrew Brand about it tomorrow. I talked about it with Joel Corey yesterday, which you guys should check that out. They've announced Tyrod Taylor as a starter for the Texans. I just think there's sort of a malaise hanging over this team as long as the Deshaun Watson situation is out there. I personally think they should tell Deshaun he's playing. My guess is they don't want to because of the off-the-field stuff. But then why is he even on your team still? It's just a terribly awkward situation. I would play him. If he says he's not playing, then I would fine him. Why pay him $10.5 million if you don't have to? But at any rate, I do not think the Texans are going to be very good.
Number 31, the Detroit Lions.
Also going to struggle. Now, I will say this. It's still the NFL, and you look at the Texans roster, there's still a solid group of players there. And same with Detroit, and they've got a very capable quarterback in Jared Goff. I mean, Jared Goff leads his team to the playoffs every year. He's led his team to a Super Bowl. So these are not your typical terrible teams, if that makes sense. These are not teams I think are going to win 1 or 2 games. I think they'll win 3, 4, maybe 5 games.
Number 30, the Cincinnati Bengals.
So the Bengals still have major concerns on defense in my mind. And, we have to see how Burrow comes off of this torn ACL. And the offensive line still looks like it's a mess. They've got good skill, mixing in those receivers. They've got some good pieces, which is why I don't think they're going to be the worst team in the league. But I think the jury is still out on them.
29, it's the New York Jets.
You look at this and you think, okay, why do you have the Jets ahead of the Bengals, especially with Carl Lawson being hurt? And I guess the answer is I feel better about the Jets' offensive line. And I was really impressed by what I saw from Zach Wilson in the preseason. And I like Robert Saleh as a head coach. I think he's going to be good. I don't think Zach Taylor for the Bengals is very good at all. The Bengals don't have Trey Waynes. He's out for this week. We'll talk about that on today's Even Money podcast and on a Picks Friday. Not good. So I like the Jets to be a little bit better than the Bengals right now.
And then the Giants to be a little bit better than the Jets. Giants, number 28.
It just feels like it's been a long time since either New York team was relevant. It's rare. It used to always be like one of them was good. A lot of times they were both pretty good. Now we're in a situation where neither one of them just seems like they're very good. We'll see. I hope Saquon's knee is healthy. Hope he can play at a high level. I'm curious to see what Daniel Jones is like with a complement of skill guys and a decent offensive line, but I'm still not sure he has that. It's kind of a failure of epic proportions that it's year 3 for Daniel Jones. They're trying to identify whether or not he is the guy, and it just feels like they still don't have a good offensive line that really gives him a great chance to show what he can do.
Well, the Bills are going to be that one New York team that is good this year. We'll get to them in a little bit. But first, number 27, the Jacksonville Jags.
By the way, Buffalo, it's funny because Buffalo and the Jets and Giants, they're probably like 7-8 hours apart from each other. I mean, that is far. Like, they might as well be in different states. I mean, they are in different states because obviously Jets and Giants are in New Jersey, but like those are almost like different planets, different countries. because I've spent a lot of time in both and very, very different. As for the Jaguars, the crazy part there is they have their whole offensive line back, and I'm still not sure they're that great. I do think Urban Meyer, with some of the guys they brought in, I do think they'll find a way to be a little better than they were last year. I mean, they only won one game. So I think they'll be, with Trevor Lawrence and some of the guys they brought in, I think they'll be a little bit better, but obviously with where I have them, I still don't think they're going to be very good.
Number 26, the Philadelphia Eagles.
So I've been talking about it a lot on the Even Money podcast and others. I think the Eagles are going to be better than other people do. I think the Eagles are going to beat their season win total numbers of 6.5. Really good O-line, really good D-line. And frankly, last year, their quarterback was the worst in the league. If Hurts can just be better than that, and I think he will, I think the Eagles will surprise some people.
Number 25, the Atlanta Falcons.
That's who plays each other on Sunday. Falcons, Eagles, big win, big game for both of them. If you're not expected to have a great season or be a playoff contender, every win is precious. I really like Arthur Smith. I really like Matt Ryan still. And I think that's kind of good enough for me.
24th, Carolina Panthers.
The Panthers are a team, one of those teams I'm not quite sure about. I guess I just don't really know what to think about the Panthers. And I guess that's primarily because I don't know what to think about Sam Darnold. I guess I would tell you I'm still skeptical of the Panthers' offensive line as well with some of the additions they made. And Darnold, I think we're about to find out a lot more about him.
23, the Dallas Cowboys.
Obviously, I'm not as high on the Cowboys as other people are. Huge news that looks like Zach Martin won't be able to play Thursday night. That's rough, very rough for the Cowboys. I should mention, by the way, I think John Miller, Bry, is scheduled to start at right guard for the Panthers. They put him on the COVID list yesterday. So I'm already concerned about their O-line, and now their starting right guard, I think, is out for this week as they take on the Jets, I think. But in terms of the Cowboys, they absolutely have the potential to move up this list quite a bit. But there's a lot of injury questions. And so I need to see how those guys perform for a couple weeks to make sure Amari Cooper, Dak, the O-line, La'el Collins is having stingers now. I just got to see where they're at from a health standpoint before I start to move them up.
Number 22, the Chicago Bears.
Kind of hard to believe they made the playoffs last year. It really is. Offensive line's a mess. Quarterback quandary with Dalton and Justin Fields, obviously. I think their defense might take a little bit of a step back this year, all of which puts them 22 for me.
Number 21, the Las Vegas Raiders.
Raiders, I really wonder how many of the moves that they make are Mike Mayock versus John Gruden. I mean, John Gruden's the one that hired Mike Mayock. And I don't know, if they have a bad year, it feels like Mayock's going to be the one that's going to end up, having to face the repercussions, even though Gruden hired Mayock. And I kind of think Gruden probably makes a lot of these moves, like cutting 2020 third-round pick linebacker Tanner Muse. I mean, he just cut him yesterday, their 2020 third-round pick. It's not a very good return on that investment again.
Number 20, the Minnesota Vikings.
The Minnesota Vikings. They're another one that the injury issues, I would have had them higher. But Irv Smith out for the year, problematic. Christian Darris out, first-round left tackle, not being ready to go. Although I guess he'll try to do some practicing this week. Problematic. Not good.
19, the Indianapolis Colts.
This is like injury road here, Bri. Like all these teams, Cowboys and Raiders, Vikings, Colts are the same way. The Colts We'll see if Wentz can play. Quentin Nelson can play. We don't know when T.Y. Hilton will get back after his neck surgery. There's just a lot up in the air. A lot of time, sometimes these things can all be fine, but it's not really fun or good to go into a season with a lot of injury questions.
Number 18, the Arizona Cardinals.
I kind of feel like they're in a bad spot just because of their division, Like they might win 8 or 9 games and not make the playoffs just because they're not as good as the teams in their division. Kind of a tough draw for Steve Keim, the GM, and Cliff Kingsbury, the head coach. You can't really pick what division you're in, but it's the best division in football, I believe. And it's probably why they're going to be what prevents the Cardinals from actually going to the playoffs.
Number 17, the Miami Dolphins.
Miami Dolphins, number 17. So it's kind of been well documented how I feel about the Dolphins. They were very fortunate in a lot of ways last year. Defense, special teams. I just don't think you can count on that again. And they had to have Ryan Fitzpatrick win a bunch of those games for them last year. So we'll see whether or not Tua can do that this year. Speaking of very fortunate, so fortunate, as I mentioned yesterday, to be sponsored now by 10,000. I mean, their 7-inch interval shorts with the liner, amazing. Versatile shirt, amazing. So you guys know I really like to work out. I need to work out because if you check me out on social media at Ross Tucker NFL, I eat a lot. I drink a lot. Those are things I enjoy. So to not be back up to 300 pounds again, I have to work out like twice a day. So that's what I love, to have nice workout clothes. Like you don't want like the heavy cotton stuff. Lightweight, breathable, durable. It's built for tough gym days, outdoor adventures, short runs, interval training, CrossFit, you name it. Like they literally built all these clothes just so you can get the most out of your workouts. And they're offering our listeners 15% off your purchase. Go to 10,000.cc and enter code Ross Tucker to receive 15% off your purchase. That is 10,000.cc and enter code Ross Tucker. You know what? I'll add 10,000 to the Manscaped for the Madden. Either one of them, Manscaped or 10,000, to enter to win this week's Madden. 10,000.cc, enter code Ross Tucker.
Moving on, number 16, the New Orleans Saints.
I feel like that's the perfect spot for them. All of these teams now, Cardinals, Dolphins, Saints, Broncos, Patriots, I really feel like they could go either way. I feel like they could be a 10-11 win team. They could be a 7-8 win team. They probably end up 9 or 10. I think Jameis has some really good games where people say, oh, see, that Jameis, oh, yeah. But then I think he also has some games where he struggles and doesn't play as well. Because the one thing he's been so far in his career is consistently inconsistent.
Number 15, the Denver Broncos.
Feels like it's been a while since the Broncos were this high, Bri. And I think it's just because of Teddy Bridgewater, I guess. I mean, they got Von Miller back. I think Bridgewater is a solid. I think Greg Cosell would say he's a professional quarterback, Ross. He's a professional quarterback. I think Teddy Bridgewater is a professional quarterback, listeners. And I think they're going to win more games as a result. I think they're a better team as a result. I don't think he's going to turn it over.
Number 14, the New England Patriots.
So I am a Mac Jones believer. And I think, it's going to be interesting just based on the preseason. He doesn't have the same quote unquote ceiling, but based on the preseason, I thought Mac Jones looked a lot better than Trey Lance. Remember, everybody thought Mac Jones was going to be the number 3 overall pick to the Niners. Instead, they went with Trey Lance, and Mac Jones fell all the way to 15, which, I don't even know. The Patriots obviously liked him, but I think the reports I'm hearing, they think he's even better than they thought he would be.
Number 13, the Washington football team.
Wow, I have them 10 spots better than anybody else in the NFC East. So clearly, I think Washington's the best team in the division. When everybody else is 23, 26, 28, I have them 13. I just think the defense is very good, and they're going to get much better quarterback play than they got a year ago. That's a pretty good combo.
Number 12, the LA Chargers.
San Diego Superchargers, San Diego Chargers. So which ones do I have? I have a Miami Dolphins song. I have a Chargers song. I have a new man on the Minnesota Vikings. Are there any other songs, Bri, that you can think of for teams that I could do on the show?
How about the Go Bills?
Oh, like, what do you mean Go Bills?
No, the one that was it Marv Levy used to sing?
I don't know what you're talking about.
No. All right, look it up. But no,
I think I can say, go, Pack, go. After they get a first down, it goes, dun, 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 dun. Go, Pack, go. After they get a first down. I like that. Although I also, for the Chargers, have Schwarzenegger. Go, Chargers, go. Anyway, 17th consecutive year. I think the Chargers could have a really good season, but they probably won't for some reason. But no, it's Herbert's second year. I think their head coach, Brandon Staley's a stud. It's a pretty good combo.
Number 11, the Tennessee Titans. I guess you could go with the Houston Oilers, but
How's that go?
same thing as the Miami Dolphins.
Same tune?
Yeah.
Miami Dolphins, Houston Oilers, Houston Oilers, Houston Oilers number 1. It's something like that, right?
Yep.
Wow. It's kind of crazy that the Houston Oilers ever left. Let that be a lesson. They will leave, guys. Like, teams do leave for more money. They do. It's a business. As for the Titans, I think they're clearly the class of the AFC South, but I'm not really sure that's saying that much this year. You know, I like their skill. Right tackle is still a major question mark.
Number 10, the San Francisco 49ers.
The San Francisco treat. This is putting them pretty high. This is putting a lot of faith in Jimmy G to play well and Bosa and those guys to be healthy. But, I mean, last time they were kind of in the Super Bowl. I don't know how to tell you this, but they were kind of in the Super Bowl.
Number 9, Pittsburgh Steelers.
So I'm way higher on the Steelers than a lot of other people are. You know why, Bri?
Why?
Because I've watched the Steelers play football for the last 40 years. They're always good. They're always at least good. And I think Ben's going to step up in his last year. It is weird that TJ Watt still not practicing. I will be talking with Andrew Brandt about that tomorrow. Still not practicing is Watt, but they'll get that done. He's just – the thing I think is funny about them getting it done is it's like, just do it now. Like, whatever you're going to give him, whatever the highest you're willing to go, do it now so he actually practices for you guys this week.
Number 8, the Seattle Seahawks.
I feel like the Seahawks are sort of stuck in perpetuity is not the right word. They're kind of stuck in neutral, Bri. I don't feel like they're moving forward. I don't feel like they're moving backward. Looks like Dwayne Brown and Quandre Diggs are both going to play. But I feel like the Seahawks are good enough to make the playoffs and win a game, and that's about it. I just don't think that I don't think they're better. I don't think they got better.
Number 7, the LA Rams.
So I do think the Rams got better. Now, the Rams are like paper thin. They have no depth, but they feel like they got a huge upgrade at quarterback. We're about to find out. There's no more built-in excuses for Stafford this year, which is what I like. No built-in excuses about, it's Detroit. Nope. You got everything you want now, Matthew.
Number 6, Baltimore Ravens.
So it's really a bummer. I took, by the way, Lamar Jackson as my quarterback last night in the Fantrax League, the season-long league for Fantasy Feast listeners with Joe and everybody. I took Lamar as my quarterback. You know, they just need to get better at the passing game. Everything else is there. And unfortunately, they just haven't had a whole lot of time to do that. You know, all the receivers have been hurt. Lamar was out. And so they almost feel to me like the Seahawks of the AFC. That's what they are, Bri. I got to write that down. I feel like that's a good line. Like Seahawks and Ravens, where I feel like they're just stuck in neutral. They're not getting better. They're not getting worse. They're still good. They'll be in the mix. But I just don't think that they're going to – I don't think they're good enough to win to get to the Super Bowl. I just don't. Either one of those teams. They did give Mark Andrews, by the way, 4 years, $54 million extension yesterday. Good for him. He's absolutely earned it. He's a stud.
Number 5, the Green Bay Packers.
So the Packers, I have no idea from the Even Money podcast. I have no idea why their season win total is 10 wins. None. They won 13 games the past 2 years in a 16-game slate, and now they're not going to win 11 games. Are you out of your mind? Of course they are. Like I don't. I think the Packers and the Packers and the Rams, the only team I can really see knocking off the Bucks. I think the Packers are the second best team in the NFC.
Number 4, the Cleveland Browns.
Speaking, by the way, Brian, about the Packers and me feeling very strongly about the over for them, Pickswise I'm a fan of Pickswise these days. They're the number one app for sports betting picks, helmed by a team of trend-watching, data-devouring sports fanatics, giving you the who, how, and why behind every prediction for every game, every day, and every sport. Loaded with best bets, props, and parlays, you can find in-depth analysis on every game, all for free. Found your pick? Search our latest sportsbook promotions to sign up for an account, compare the odds, and finally, place your bet. Download the free Pickswise app now to make your next bet better. As for the Browns, best roster in the NFL in my mind, except for quarterback. You know, they're in the high rent district up here in the top 5. And you look at the other quarterbacks, just look at the top 9 teams. Roethlisberger, Russell Wilson, Matthew Stafford, Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady. Mayfield is like the one who doesn't quite fit. Like he hasn't proven he deserves to be amongst that group yet. And we'll see whether or not he holds them back this year.
Number 3, the Buffalo Bills.
The Buffalo Bills. So Bills have a really talented team, really talented quarterback. Allen looked awesome in that preseason game. They're ready to roll. They're ready to do this thing. And I think they got a real chance to knock off the Chiefs.
Speaking of the Chiefs, they are number 2.
My number 2. So the Chiefs, the two things interesting about the Chiefs, rookie center, right guard, right tackle on the offensive line. That's number 1. And then number 2, you know, they were 8-0 in one-score games. So it does feel like Bill Barnwell pointed out, it does feel like they'll take a step back in some capacity. I just don't know if that means, you know, they might take a step back in record, but still be a better team and still end up winning the Super Bowl at the end.
Russ's number 1 team, which is totally meaningless, but it's fun and will get many of you incredibly annoyed, is
Number 1, the Tampa Bay Bucks.
I don't really think it gets anybody incredibly annoyed. You know, I think most people generally feel like, yeah, the Bucks deserve to be number 1. They won the Super Bowl last year in convincing fashion. They have everybody back. They don't really have any question marks right now. So they're my number 1 team, and I think they'll beat the Cowboys Thursday night, and I think they'll stay number 1. But this is fun. It's nice to get back to the power rankings. I love it. I love giving these Maddens to you guys, especially people that really want them. Show me you want them. Maybe do Manscaped and do 10,000. You can almost guarantee you get the Madden if you do both of them. I don't know how many other people will do that. So go for it. Shout outs are in order for some of our awesome patrons who we love. Patreon.com/RTmedia. How about for $100 getting a shout out for your business every episode? 5 episodes a week. Pizza Boy Brewing, Sporticulture, Vision Comics with an X, HumanHeadNYC.com, SteakhouseSports.com. I think we're done here.
Thanks for listening to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Make sure to also subscribe to the Fantasy Feast, Even Money, Business of Sports, and College Draft. All available at Apple Podcasts, RossTucker.com, or wherever podcasts can be found.
A lot of times on the show, I mentioned DraftKings. Here's what you need to know. You got to be 21 or older, New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER, or in Indiana, 1-800-9-WITH-IT. By the way, if what I was talking about included a deposit bonus, doesn't always, sometimes it does. Deposit bonus requires 25 times playthrough, and deposit bonuses are paid out in site credit.